I had 3 shots to leave New Orleans by long-distance train: Chicago, New York, or Los Angeles. One ride felt legendary. The others didn't. Today I'm putting the city of New Orleans, the Crescent, and the Sunset Limited into a head-to-head showdown to find out which route actually deserves your time, money, and vacation days. I'm keen on the rails, and this is the New Orleans long-distance showdown. Midwest versus East Coast versus Desert West. Let's meet the contenders. First up, the city of New Orleans. This is New Orleans' classic overnight train to Chicago. You roll out through Mississippi and the Delta, past small southern towns and river country, then push north into the Midwest and finish in a huge city on Lake Michigan. It's a one-night trip that connects New Orleans directly to a major rail hub. Second, the Crescent. Point the Crescent northeast and you're headed through the Deep South, the Carolinas, Virginia, and all the way up the East Coast to New York City. You're tracing a long, historic corridor of southern and eastern cities, watching both landscape and culture change as you go. It's a true New Orleans to New York journey by rail. Third, the Sunset Limited. This one takes you west across the desert in Texas toward Los Angeles. You leave the humidity of New Orleans, run through bayous and low country, then dry out into long, sun-baked stretches and big skies as you head toward the Pacific. It's one of the longest and most demanding long-distance routes you can ride from New Orleans. So from one station in New Orleans, you can aim yourself toward the Midwest, the East Coast, or the Desert West. Let's put them in the ring. Round 1: Scenery. Round 1 is all about scenery. The city of New Orleans gives you a front-row seat to river country and the transition from the Deep South into the heart of the Midwest. You'll see bayous, fields, small towns, and long stretches of rural landscape slowly shifting as you head north. It's more about atmosphere and story than wow mountains. The Crescent serves up a long slice of the American South and East Coast. You start in New Orleans, pass through places like Birmingham and Atlanta, then move into the Carolinas, Virginia, and eventually the dense Northeast. You're watching not just the scenery, but the architecture and pace of life change. The Sunset Limited is the drama train. You move from the wetlands and low country out of New Orleans into drier country, then through long runs of Texas and desert with wide horizons and big sky. It's the route where you really feel that we are crossing serious distance energy. So, who wins the scenery round? If you're chasing the strongest sense of changing landscapes over a very long distance, I'd give the edge to the Sunset Limited. But if you love southern scenery and the idea of going from New Orleans all the way to New York, the Crescent will hit hard for you. Round 2: Onboard Experience. Round 2. What is it actually like to live on each of these trains out of New Orleans? The city of New Orleans is the most compact of the three. You board in the afternoon or evening, get a mix of daylight and night, and then you're waking up as you move into the Midwest and approach Chicago. It's a very manageable way to experience a long-distance train without spending multiple days on board. The Crescent gives you a classic full-day plus night long-distance feel. You have time for multiple meals, time in the lounge, and the experience of falling asleep as the South rolls by and waking up much closer to the Northeast. It feels like a complete journey without being extreme. The Sunset Limited is the deep-end experience. You're on the train for a long stretch, sleeping, waking, and living aboard as you pass through multiple states and landscapes. If you love the idea of being stuck on a train in the best possible way, this is your playground. If you get restless, it can feel like a lot. For onboard experience, if you want the richest sense of long-distance travel from New Orleans, I'd give the round to the Crescent and Sunset Limited. If you just want a clean, approachable overnight, the city of New Orleans is the easiest win. Round 3: Destination Payoff. Round 3. What do you get when you step off the train? The city of New Orleans ends in Chicago. That's a major city with museums, food, music, and a huge rail station that connects to almost every big Western route. It's an ideal payoff if you want both a city break and onward rail options. The Crescent ends in New York City. You step off into Manhattan. Skyscrapers, subways, museums, Broadway, and some of the most intense urban energy in the world. If you judge a trip by how different the destination feels from where you started, New Orleans to New York is a big swing. The Sunset Limited ends in Los Angeles. You go from the French Quarter and bayous to palm trees, freeways, and the Pacific. It's a huge cultural and geographic contrast. And, like Chicago, LA is also a springboard for other adventures. On destination alone, my personal winner is New York. New Orleans to NYC by rail is just a killer story. But Chicago and LA are both extremely strong payoffs, especially if you're chaining multiple routes together. Round 4, time, budget, and practicality. Round 4, time, budget, and practicality out of New Orleans. The city of New Orleans is the most practical for most people. It's a single overnight, easy to fit into a long weekend or a week-long trip, and simpler to budget for in terms of onboard time and comfort. The Crescent asks more of your schedule, but rewards you with a full New Orleans to New York arc that covers a lot of ground both physically and culturally. You'll need a bit more time and planning, but the payoff is big. The Sunset Limited is the most demanding in terms of days and patience. You're investing serious time on the train, so it works best when the journey itself is the main event, not just a way to get from A to B. On practicality alone, the city of New Orleans wins this round, with the Crescent in second for people who can spare a bit more time for a bigger experience. Final round, which New Orleans train wins? So if I had to pick just one long-distance train out of New Orleans for the average viewer, which one wins? If you want the best mix of journey and destination, I think the Crescent takes the crown. There's something special about watching the South roll by and stepping off in New York City at the end. If you're focused on an easy, high-value overnight that unlocks a major rail hub, the city of New Orleans is incredibly strong. And if you're a hardcore rail fan chasing long hours on the rails and maximum contrast, the Sunset Limited to Los Angeles is your deep-end option. Now it's your turn. Chicago, New York, or LA? Tell me in the comments which direction you'd point your next long-distance train from New Orleans and why. If this helped you figure out which New Orleans train is right for you, hit like, subscribe, and tell me which city you want me to do a showdown from next. I'm keen on the rails. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next train out of New Orleans.